gentlemen, what if suddenly one day there's a war in Southeast Asia? What if suddenly Thailand decided to bomb Cambodia and the war would spill over to the rest of ASEAN? What if suddenly South China Sea became the new battleground for a new form of archipelagic imperialism from China and the rest of ASEAN? These are the questions I am interested to answer about, and this is what I'm going to talk about today: ASEAN and conflict resolution. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is wise to remember back the story of the formation of ASEAN. ASEAN was founded in 1967 because of the fear that Southeast Asia would become another region of conflict. We were formed against the backdrop of Cold War international relations, rising communism in Vietnam, and of course, constant regional tensions between the Philippines, Malaysia, and Thailand. So ASEAN in itself was a formation to resolve conflict. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to discuss with you today are three things. Number one, I'm going to explain to you the mechanisms of conflict resolution of ASEAN. And number two, we're going to talk about the implementation of this conflict resolution mechanisms. And lastly, what will be the future of conflict resolution for ASEAN? Now, the first word of conflict resolution, in fact, being mentioned in ASEAN, begin with the Declaration on the Zone of Peace, Freedom and Neutrality in 1971. That was the first time ASEAN really talked about, hey, let's talk about conflict resolution. And this was a declaration that really emulated the principles of Pacific settlement of Pacific settlement of disputes from the United Nations, which means that they prohibited the threat or the use of force in the region of Southeast Asia. And of course, they prioritized friendly relations in a sense of negotiating and terminating the conflict if it ever occurred in Southeast Asia. And next, we have the 1976 Declaration of ASEAN Concord, and it evolves into the 1976 Treaty of Amity and Cooperation that establishes a High Council between conflicting nations if they have any conflict in ASEAN. For example, if Cambodia has any conflicts with Laos, they can establish a High Council, which means that representatives from both governments would be in this High Council and mediated by ASEAN. Now, this is the mechanism we have in ASEAN. And next is the 1996 Protocol on Dispute Settlement Mechanism. If we have any economic disputes, it can be settled through this law. And then we have the 2004 Protocol for Enhanced Dispute Settlement Mechanism. And of course, all of these principles of the prohibition on the threat or the use of force in ASEAN, and of course, Pacific form of dispute settlement is embodied under the 2007 ASEAN Charter. We have created norms in the sense that if there's any conflict in ASEAN, we will try to resolve it peacefully, not through the use of warfare. For example, concerning the dispute of Pulau Litigan and Sipadan between Malaysia and Indonesia, we both believe that it is best settled through the arbitration of the International Court of Justice. Similarly, how we did it with Singapore in the case of the Pedra Banca case. Now, these are the norms that have been developed in ASEAN with regards to our conflict resolution, prohibition against a threat or the use of force, and the Pacific form of dispute settlement. Waiting for my slide. Okay, so I'm going to discuss now regarding the South China Sea. Now, this is the recent emerging security challenge that ASEAN is facing at the moment. If we could see here, if we could see in this map, ladies and gentlemen, that ASEAN nations, together with China, an emerging superpower in this region, are claiming islands in the South China Sea. Now, this is a potentially problematic challenge for ASEAN in the sense that we are competing against a nation that has far superior military capability in trying to claim its stakes. But did the ASEAN go to war with China? Did we really go and face up against China in a negative way. No, we did not. We came together. We believe in our principles of prohibition against the threat or non-usage of force, and of course the Pacific settlement of disputes, and we embody in the 2002 Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea. We prioritize, we restrain ourselves, because that's the ASEAN way. And we did it as well in the case of the recent border skirmishes between Cambodia and Thailand. Indonesia emerged as the mediator, ladies and gentlemen, to settle disputes between Cambodia and Thailand in the recent conflict concerning the Temple Virha case, where the conflict started again. It was a dispute between Thailand and Cambodia, but Indonesia took the proactive role through ASEAN, ladies and gentlemen, to end the border conflict. Lots of people could have been killed, but we stopped it. The same thing with regards to the Filipino conflict, ladies and gentlemen. Malaysia took an active role in mediating the conflict of the Bangsamoro with regards to the Philippines. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Bangsamoro people have their own autonomy to govern their region. And it ended a long, bloody conflict with the Filipino government. And this is all the ASEAN way. And we also did it with regards to Aceh during the peace process. We sent ASEAN military observers. They are unarmed because we believe in the prohibition of force and the threat of force, ladies and gentlemen. So what will be the future of conflict resolution for ASEAN? I think one of the biggest problems that we are going to face in the future is the increase and influx of refugees in this region. The recent problem of the Burmese Rohingya revealed a problem for ASEAN that we cannot handle. And I believe this is a question for all of you future ASEAN policymakers. So that is it concerning ASEAN and conflict resolution. We believe in a peaceful resolution of conflict. Thank you so much.